When is it?
Oh, but nobody is there.
Huh?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Matai Dandavat Pranam, Darshana Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev.
My humble obeisances, Mataji. All glory Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. All glory Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Srila Mataji. Hare Krishna. I'll change my location because I think there is a lot of light in the background. It's probably better. Okay. Sorry, we are trying to figure out some password and some login. All right. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sham. Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sham. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Damastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुम लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर। Okay, we are on Canto 3, chapter number 15 we are doing today. Name of chapter is, no, chapter number 15. Yeah, name of chapter is Description of the Kingdom of God. So last week we saw the meeting of Diti and Kashyap Muni at a wrong time. Diti was very repentant. Diti begged forgiveness and she was hoping that Lord Shiva will not mind because for two reasons. One is he is easily pleased, he is very merciful, and he is very kind on the woman especially, and also he is his brother-in-law or husband of his real sister because Diti, Aditi, and Sati, they all were daughters of Daksha. Although before that, Kashyap Muni warned her that don't think that Lord Shiva will have special favor on you because he's equal to all. He's not his um, decisions and his it's not based on bodily relationships because he is out of that conception. So for him, everyone is equal, and his principles remains the same. So there will be no support. You will have to bear the reaction. But she was still hopeful. And then after the action, she very much repented and lamented. And Diti and she approached her husband, begging forgiveness. Then Kashyap Muni was very disturbed. Kashyap Muni stopped his Gayatri and he said, um, अनर्थ हो गया है basically. A great inauspicious act has happened. The demons will be born and who will give lot of trouble to the devatas. But seeing the repentance of Diti, then Kashyap Muni gave the benediction that because you are so affectionate in your heart to Lord Shiva, to Lord Narayan, to me, and very good natured, very good hearted also. That's why I give you the benediction that your two sons will be killed by the Lord. And she felt pacified by that. So now this chapter begins. Then Diti is carrying the two sons in the womb. They are basically twins. And 100 years pass by. And Diti is afraid to bring the children out of the womb. So she's holding them in because of two reasons. One is once they come, they will be killed by the Lord. And although it's a benediction, she doesn't want them to be killed. So she is protecting them under the womb. 100 years passed. Another thing, she knows that these two children will um, give trouble to the devatas. I was contemplating on this one point, that she doesn't want children to come out because they will give trouble to the devatas. Now, devatas are her like her son because Diti and Aditi are real sisters. So Aditi's sons are like, um, that's why Hiranyakashipu and Indra, they were cousin brothers basically. So Diti had lot of affection for all the devatas also. So, and she naturally doesn't want to um, spoil her relationship with Aditi, and have brothers fight among each other. And right now everything is very peaceful. Everyone is staying together. But if Diti give birth to this child, uh, then they actually lot of things happened after Hiranyaksha and Kashipu came. They would live on different planetary system. One would live in Bhuvarlok, one will live in Swarglok, and they fight and they took over Swarglok. So a lot of things happened after that, and she doesn't want that my children be the cause of breaking the families and with my own sister relationship and giving trouble to them. She doesn't want that. I was contemplating on this point. Here, she doesn't want the children to come because they will cause trouble to devatas, but later on, she very nicely served her husband Kashyap Muni. And when Kashyap Muni was very pleased with her seva bhav, Kashyap Muni requested her, ask for anything you want. And then she asked, give me a child who will kill Indra. So these are so contradictory points actually. Here she doesn't want, Bhagavatam says, here she doesn't want, for 100 years she is carrying the children. She doesn't want them to come out because they will give trouble to devatas. And later on, she is requesting Kashyap Muni to bless her with a child who will kill Indra. And Kashyap Muni was thinking, alas, such humble attitude, such sweet voice, such beautiful face, and so charming. How she is serving and everything is like so pakka, so perfect, and so pleasing, fulfilling all the desires of Kashyap Muni. Whatever Kashyap Muni wants, she was there with that, and so surrendered. Um, and internally she is cultivating this desire to have a child who will kill my son. So Kashyap Muni was thinking, alas, how could I have trusted her? In this way, Kashyap Muni was thinking. And then he engaged her in devotional service, and that's how she became purified. But the same Diti who doesn't want to give trouble to Devatas later on want a child who will kill the Devatas. And from this, I was reflecting. This is the first verse actually. From this, I was reflecting um, how the mind changes when trouble or misery comes upon us, or when we become attached. Because right now that attachment is not there to the son, but later on, she will feed her milk to the children, take care of them from the very beginning, and fulfill all their desires. She will develop such strong bond that when they were killed, the attachment and then the misery that comes from that attachment um, changes the mind. And sometimes we can see this in our own life also, especially when we are like when we begin our Krishna consciousness. At one point of time, we are so devotional. Krishna, we surrender our lives to you. You can do anything you like with me. I will remain your servant eternally. And so many big, big prayers we may speak. And then after some time, we may become angry with Krishna. Krishna, how can you do this to me? Um, Krishna, I mean, one devotee said, sometimes he says, Krishna, do you have any heart also? Your heart is like a stone. How can you behave like this? How can you see me in this situation? That's little extreme, but the mind may become disturbed. Um, on another example, some people may glorify you today very much, like because of you, Prabhuji, because of you, Mataji, and fill in the blanks. And then after some time, they may scold you, or they may kind of go against you, complain against you, or whatever. I mean, just making it up. Um, um, Behavior may change. Today, one behavior, tomorrow, another behavior. Um, and our consciousness may change toward people, or people consciousness may change toward us, and our consciousness may change towards Krishna. And here we see Diti consciousness changed. Right now she doesn't want to trouble Devatas, and later on she want a child who will kill the Devatas. um, so these are the symptoms of unsteady mind. And Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, to make our mind steady. Lord Krishna says, without steady mind, there cannot be any peace, and how can there be any happiness without peace? In a way, and Krishna describes who is the saint. In second chapter, Krishna says, Vita raga bhaya krodha sthita dhir muni ruchyate. A muni, a sage, is called of a steady mind when he is not affected by, or when he is free from, with the raga bhaya krodha, when he is free from attachment, uh, uh, fear, and anger. Maneshu anu dukheshu anudigna manaha sukheshu vigata spriha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthita dhirmunyurchate. So Lord Krishna says, dukheshu anudvigna manaha. Vigna means disturbance or obstruction. जैसे बोलते हैं ना, विघ्न विनाशक. Anudvigna manaha. Manaha, the mind is not disturbed. Dukheshu, in the misery. One whose mind is not disturbed in the misery. Actually, misery changes our mind. Here, misery changes the mind of Diti. Misery changes our mind towards Krishna. Misery changes our mind towards devotees. And today we are glorifying devotees, and we will be like, this devotee is like, my life savior. And tomorrow we'll internally, mentally may become angry at that devotee, or may criticize that devotee. So our words, our mind is changing based on our happiness and distress. actually. And then Krishna says, who is a sage? Krishna says, Dukheshu anudigna manaha, who is not disturbed when there is misery. Sukheshu vigata spriha, and who is not attached to pleasure when there is there. When there is source of pleasure, he is not affected by it. Immediately when the source of pleasure is there, our mind becomes disturbed. Disturbed in a way that with a desire to enjoy. Um, um, so Krishna says, one who is not like luring after certain things, and one who is not becoming disturbed when there is misery, and one who is free from attachment, fear. See, Diti has fear कि भाई मरेंगे, मेरे बच्चे मार दिए जाएंगे, मैं बच्चे को लाना नहीं चाहती, my children will be killed, I don't want them to come. Fear is there. um, um, Fear disturbs our mind. When we have fear for future, what will happen? What will happen to my family members, to my son, to my daughter, to my parents? Immediately the mind is disturbed. Fear, um, um, krodha, anger, the mind is immediately disturbed. And attachment, the mind is disturbed. Whenever there is attachment, mind is disturbed. So our mind is not steady. I mean, I'm talking about myself. So very nice, actually. I was very surprised. It's like it's nice to see what is our life and we relate to that instance in Bhagavatam. And that's why it is said, one whose mind and senses are uncontrolled, they cannot be trusted. Cannot be trusted. Why? Because they will change. Nobody in this world, now how many people in this world have their mind and senses uh, fully controlled? We we hardly find anybody other than those self-realized souls, and that's why our spiritual masters, their mind is never disturbed. um, so we see they are always our well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada would say that you are ever well-wisher, no matter what one does. Whether one gives dukkha to these pure devotees or whether one gives lot of joy to these pure devotees, neither they are allured by anything material, nor they are um, they go through misery because of uh, anything we do to them or any dukkha that may come upon them for any reason. And that's why their mind is always steady. And because their mind is always steady, they're ever well-wisher. Their consciousness don't change towards disciples, towards all living entities, towards Krishna. Very stable mind, actually. It's great, actually, to just contemplate on this. How our mind is always disturbed. And that's the nature of Kali Yuga. It is described um, that the age is alpa ayu, then manda sumanda matya manda bhagya upadrita, less fortunate, and then upadrita means disturbed. So people in this age of Kali are always disturbed. Amazing. So then 100 years passed, and Diti was afraid, and Diti was like, I don't want to bring these children. And the children were like greatly demoniac people, very powerful and negative power. So the effect of that, the whole universe became dark. Darkness started spreading and everything became dark. Then the Devatas became afraid. Devatas were like, why is our friend, our brother Suryadev, have no influence? And no matter how much he shines, the darkness is prevailing. Where is this darkness emanating from? Where is it coming from? Is it like naturally darkness is a negative sign actually. It's an inauspicious sign. So when the whole universe was spreading with darkness, they became very much afraid. Um, that shows how one power, one either negative power or positive power or one power can have such influence on such larger effect. Another thing that comes to me from universal perspective, two more examples come in Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, when he was performing austerity, the whole universe started to burn. Then Brahma came and pacified and broke the tapa of Hiranyakashipu. Another is Prahlad Maharaj. When he stopped breathing, the whole universe air was um, taken off, and devatas could not breathe, and they were choking to death. So we see devata approaching because the universe is on fire, the universe has no air, and now the universe has no light. So every time they approach Brahma, and sometime Brahma helps, like Hiranyakashipu, Brahma helped. Um, and here also Brahma will give the reason Brahma helps. But in some cases only Narayana has to come, like for Prahlad Maharaj, because he was pure devotee. So there was darkness everywhere, the Devatas approach. And then Devata, this is very interesting. Devatas are glorifying Brahma. Also, when we approach um, somebody, it's always best for some reason or something we want from them. It's always good to begin with glorification. Even when we approach the Supreme Lord for something, we should begin with glorifying the Lord. So these devatas went to Brahma and they started glorifying. And these glorification are very bewildering. Actually, the glorification are glorification of Narayan. And because Brahma is an expansion of Narayan. How is an expansion of Narayan? He's an incarnation of Narayan. What kind of incarnation he is? Is Guna Avatar. Rajoguna Avatar is Brahma, and Tamoguna Avatar is, or the in charge of Tamoguna, or the tamasic uh, quality of Vishnu is Shiva. And Shuddha Sattva quality of Narayan himself is Mahavishnu himself, or Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu. So they are actually glorifying the Lord because Brahma is an incarnation of Lord, a Guna avatar of Lord. So they are telling, the Devatas are telling to Brahma that you are beyond the influence of time. Now Brahma is under the influence of time actually. 100 years passes and Brahma has to retreat. When the night comes, Brahma has to sleep. Everything is happening with respect to time. But it is the Lord who is actually not under the influence of time. Krishna says, Kalosmi, I am time, who has come to destroy everybody. But Krishna is not affected by time. That's why his body, past, present, future is Satchitananda or eternal. Then and the Devata says to Brahma that there is nothing unknown to you. Actually, there are so many things Brahma doesn't know. Like one instance which I remember is when the earth was pushed by Hiranyaksha later on, and the earth went into the nether regions, the downmost region in Garbhodak ocean, uh, and all living entities died, then or were dying or were struggling. Uh, uh, Mm. Then Manu showed to Brahma that how the earth has submerged into the Garbhodak waters. And Brahma became very much concerned, and Brahma was thinking, what do I do? And Brahma was started praying that I need help. What is this force and who can help bring it back? And um, uh, um, then Lord appeared as Varaha and saved Mother Earth. Another instance when cow went in the form of Mother Earth, when the Mother Earth went in the form of cow, describing her suffering to Brahma, and Brahma was like, "I cannot help you in this situation." So Brahma, um, so so Brahma, whenever Brahma doesn't have clarity, then Brahma go to Narayan, and whatever clarity Brahma has, Brahma get it from Narayan from within his heart. But they are telling to Brahma that you are not influenced by time, and there is nothing unknown to you, which is actually the glorification of Narayan. Uh, then um, you know the intentions of everyone in the spiritual and material worlds. Actually, that's Krishna. Prabhupada says that these are the qualifications, or these are the qualities of the Lord. Brahma himself doesn't know the intention of everybody in the spiritual world. Brahma himself don't have actually an entry in the spiritual world. In fact, in the prayers of Brahma to Krishna, Brahma is praying, um, make me a any animal or any species, give me residence outside Vrindavan, so when the Brajvasis will come they will step upon me. Because and Brahma himself was bewildered. could not understand Krishna and Krishna's devotees were to speak about their intention. Then uh, all the planets are within you and all the jivas are generated from you. This is partially correct. Um, uh, yes, all the jivas are generated from Krishna and all the planets exist within the Lord, within the navel of the Lord. And the jivas' bodies, they somewhere or the other Brahma has a role there. But these are the glorifications of the Lord. So in this way, um, they say that the Devatas say just like how the bull is controlled or tamed by a rope. Actually, we discussed earlier, the bull nose is very sensitive. Mhm. So the bull can be tamed. Although bull is very powerful, the bull can still be tamed by a rope around his neck. And likewise, the jiva, just like the bull, can be tamed around the neck, around by the nose, by the rope through a nose. How the bull can be tamed. Likewise, the jivas are always conducted under the Vedic injunction. Whatever Shastra says Jiva is like. Shastra says three mode of material nature is governing the Jiva, and that's what is happening. Jiva may think oneself independent, but Jiva is completely acting based on the scriptural description. And those scriptures are coming from you because he gave it to Narad, and Narad gave it to Vyasadeva. So the scriptures are coming from you based on what the entire universe is conducted and all the living entities are conducted. So we offer our respectful obeisances unto you, but at the same time that scriptures also came from Narayan to Brahma. So in a way, these are all the glorification. They went and they were very desperate. There is darkness all over. So then they ask, please tell us what is the cause of this darkness and please help us resolve this problem. So when they made this request to Brahma, then Brahma started describing about the journey of four Kumaras, his four sons, to Vaikuntha. So Brahma says, my dear Devatas, there is a story behind it that my four sons, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumar, they sometimes travel in the material world and sometimes they go to the Vaikuntha planets without any desire. So they don't have any desire. They are Brahman realized. They don't have understanding of Narayan also. So sometimes they travel here, sometimes they go up without any desire. They keep walking around here and there. So one time they happen to reach the Vaikuntha planets. They are pure souls because no material desire. When they happen to reach Vaikuntha planet, which is the abode of the Lord, uh, uh, and then this is where the name of the chapter comes from, the description of kingdom of God. So now Brahma describes how when the four Kumaras entered into Vaikuntha planet, what did they see? What did the four Kumaras saw when they entered Vaikuntha planet? So they saw that all the living entities looked like the Lord. All the living entities, foreheads, bluish, similar beauty, very beautiful. And and the four Kumaras were having a hard time to realize who is Lord, who is not the Lord. Uh, there are few things that distinguish the Lord from other living entity. One is, three things at least. One is the Kaustubha jewel that only Lord wears. One is the mark of Shri Vatsa, the Shri Lakshmi Devi. And one is also his Vahan is Garuda. Garuda carries only the Lord actually. So these are the few ways, but otherwise, appearance-wise, look-wise, they all look very much alike. Very beautiful, very charming, very fresh, all living entities. And all the living entities were engaged in devotional service, some form or another. Everybody was engaged in serving the Lord, and none of the men in the Vaikuntha have any desire for sense gratification. Everyone was so happily devoted and serving the Lord and finding such great bliss and satisfaction by discussing about Him, by seeing Him, and by rendering various kind of services to Him. They were so satisfied that nothing else attracted their mind. So they were self-realized. And then the men looked like the Lord, but the Lord, he is called the Vaikuntha Nath. The Lord, he is the original person, and that personality can be understood through the Vedic scriptures. He is always situated in uh, pure goodness, and he always contributes to the religious progress of the devotees. Today I was hearing 11th canto. 11th canto says that one should do those activities which are in mode of goodness. By acting in mode of goodness, the religious principles will arise from within the heart. And when the religious principles arise, the irreligion will be destroyed. And irreligion arises from the mode of passion, mode of ignorance. They give rise to irreligion. But pure goodness give rise to religion. So the Lord is pure goodness and He contributes to the religious principles for the religious progress for the devotees. Then there is a description of the forest in Vaikuntha. So first there is a description of the men in Vaikuntha. They look like the Lord. And then there is a description of the difference between men in Vaikuntha and the Lord Himself, although they look alike. Then what is the special quality of the Lord Himself? He is the original person who is understood only by the scriptures and situated in pure goodness. And then the forest of Vaikuntha, there are beautiful desire trees. Each tree, there is beautiful desire trees in the forest of Vaikuntha, and these trees they have flowers and fruits that remain throughout the season, and uh, everything there is spiritual. Like everything, nothing material. All these trees, fruits, flowers, everything is Sachidananda, spiritual and very personal. And then there are couples in Vaikuntha. There are men, there is the Lord, there are this forest, and then there are husband wife couples. And they fly in airplanes. And while flying in the airplanes, they are constantly glorifying the faultless Lord, Vaikuntha Nath. They even derive the fragrance of honey-laden Madhvi flowers as distraction. And when they pass through Madhvi flower, very fragrant flower, and they are because of the bees, they are loaded with honey. So honey loaded Madhvi flowers, very beautiful fragrance. And when these couples, when they pass through them, then they even are not attracted and they even deride the fragrance of even that as distraction. Why? Because smelling that is taking their thought away from Vaikuntanath. So they even condemn or deride that fragrance also as distraction, because their attachment to Lord is so deep and so divine in Vaikuntha that anything, when anything that attachment is so high that nothing else attracts them. Imagine if you're so super absorbed and somebody comes and says, I have a question. Then it's like, go away. Yeah, so these are how Vaikuntha couples, they are so absorbed. The men are engaged in devotional service. The Lord is the original person described in the Vedic scriptures. And the forests are full of desire trees, always filled with ever fresh fruits and flowers. And these birds in Vaikuntha, they are glorifying the Lord also. And when they hear this king of the bee humming bee, humming. And that humming is actually glorifying the Vaikuntanath in such a sweet voice. When these birds see how beautifully the bee is glorifying the Lord, they all stop singing. Appreciating, they stop singing, appreciating the song of the bee. Prabhupada says in the purport that shows that there is no envy in the spiritual world. Rather, whoever is glorifying the Lord in a very nice way, they let that person glorify the Lord and hear the glories of the Lord. And whatever, basically, satisfaction of the Lord is the key there. And they don't try to show off. See, I can also glorify the Lord very nicely, do perform kirtan of the Lord very nicely. But they could see good in others, and they consider themselves as not as good in glorifying the Lord as them, and then they let the bees glorify the Lord. So Prabhupada says, no envy there. Then the the plants, the plants in Vaikuntha are uh, transcendentally fragrant. Every plant has fragrance. Um, every plant is bearing some fruits and flowers which are ever fresh, and these plants they greatly respect Tulasi, and they consider Tulasi has performed many austerities, and because of which she has attained the position. She has made her, uh, because of her austerity, she made her leaves attain a position in the Lord's garland. Because of our austerity, Lord is so pleased that Lord does not accept a garland which does not have a tulasi leaf. Uh, I thought of this before also, and today also I was thinking when I was reading earlier that all our garlands to the Lord should have at least one tulasi leaf. If in winter we cannot have a tulasi garland, then at least one tulasi leaf. So all the plants they respect and appreciate tulasi. All the birds they appreciate and respect bumblebee, king of the bee. So in this way, everyone is absorbed in glorifying the Lord, whether they are couples, whether they are young men, whether they are um, um, and the plants, consciousness of plants and consciousness of birds, everyone. The Lord is in the center. Then there are many airplanes. The moment you enter into Vaikuntha planet, it's filled with airplanes. And these airplanes are made of lapis lazuli, emerald, and gold. Emerald is like greenish stone, and lapis lazuli I don't know, but they are like most expensive. So imagine the whole plane is made up of such ornate um, 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 stones. Men who travel in those airplane, which are made of lapis lazuli, emerald, and gold, men who travel in those are so absorbed in Krishna that even the most beautiful woman cannot stimulate passion in them, and they are so deeply absorbed in Krishna. It is described now. Every woman in Vaikuntha, what to speak about uh, Mathura, what to speak about Dwarka, what to speak about Mathura, and what to speak about Vrindavan. Every woman is like supremely, exquisitively beautiful. But the men are so absorbed in Vaikuntha Nath that they're not attracted by the most beautiful woman. Even the most beautiful woman cannot stimulate passion in them. And they are not even attracted by this stone-laden airplane. Um, Although everything is supremely opulent, their heart flows, or they are always absorbed in the form of the Lord, in the Lord. Then all the women in Vaikuntha, they are as beautiful as Lakshmi, and they have such eager desire to serve the Lord that sometimes they are seen to sweep the marble walls to receive the Lord's grace. So that shows that the Lord is staying in a house or in a palace, the Lord's palace in Vaikuntha, the Palace, and the walls are made of marble. At least some of them are made of marble. Of course, there are all kind of stones, and these um, women, as beautiful as Lakshmis, are sweeping those marble walls, although there is no dust, just to receive the Lord's grace. So everyone is trying to serve the Lord in some way or the other. And these Lakshmis, there are like thousands of Lakshmis actually. Uh, these Lakshmis, they take the Lord in their gardens. These Lakshmis have different homes, just like we see in Dwarka also. So many queens are there. So, and these Lakshmis, they take the Lord in their own gardens and they worship the Lord with tulasi leaves. And they sit by the lake, um, um, and they worship the Lord with tulasi leaves. And sometimes these lake um, um, shore, they are again made of lapis lazuli, emerald, gold, and other stones like rubies. And the Lord sit there with Lakshmi Devi, and sometimes Lakshmi Devi looked um, um, and take a glance into the water because they're sitting by the lake shore. When the Lakshmis look into the water, their beauty increases because of due to the Lord's kissing. When they see the Lord and when they see how the Lord is kissing them, then their beauty increases and they appear even more beautiful. That's the description we hear about Vrindavan also. Seeing the beauty of the gopis, Krishna shines even further. And seeing Krishna's beauty increase, the gopis' beauty increases further. So these Lakshmis become very, very much more beautiful. But although everything about Vaikuntha is so glorious, the Lakshmi is their relationship, the woman um, mm, always trying to serve the Lord by sweeping the marble walls, all this without dust and as beautiful as Lakshmi, how the couples are glorifying, how the trees and the birds are eagerly hearing and appreciating others' devotion, like Bumblebee and Tulasi, and how the Vaikuntha man, although look alike the Lord, are always engaged in rendering service to the Lord. And the center of everything is the Lord who is celebrated and known as the supreme person in the entire Vedas. Um, as the one who is situated in pure goodness. And he is the center of attraction. Everybody is absorbed in him. Although Vaikuntha um, description is so wonderful, unfortunate people are not interested in the descriptions of Vaikuntha. Those who are not fortunate, those who are unfortunate, they don't want to hear. They're not interested in these topics. They hear unworthy topics that bewilder their intelligence, take away their good fortune, and throw them into hell. And they discuss on topics which are sinful, and that glides them into hell. Their brings bad karma to them. Their intelligence is like absorbed and bewildered by illusory energy, and they are engaged in all these topics. And they are unfortunate. These are unfortunate people, and they are not interested in hearing the descriptions of Vaikuntha. Um, even the devatas, even the devatas desire human birth. Uh, and even the devatas desire human birth, and in that they desire to attain to practice religious principles, practice this path of devotion, and through that they want to realize and understand the supreme Lord. um, Even the devatas basically want to go back to Vaikuntha, and in order to go back to Vaikuntha, they desire a human birth to come here as humans, practice devotional service, and go back to Vaikuntha. Even they desire. Still, those who have taken human birth, some of them who are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord, they are not interested. Although devatas are designing a human birth as an opportunity to go back to Vaikuntha, those who have taken human birth are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. Um, and they cannot understand Vaikuntha or Vaikuntha Nath or the process of devotional service. Who can enter Vaikuntha? Devotees whose bodies change in ecstasy and who perspire and breathe heavily due to hearing the glories of the Lord. So those devotees, when they hear the glories of the Lord, and their body becomes ecstatic and they perspire and breathe heavily, those people get a chance to enter into Vaikuntha. So Brahmaji's, the Devatas came and Devatas are asking, uh, why is there darkness all over the universe? And then Brahmaji is describing that one time the four Kumaras, they went, and this is very interesting. They went, and what did they saw? What did they see? So based on that, there is a description of these Vaikuntha planets. So then, by the strength of Yoga Maya, the four Kumaras, they reach Vaikuntha. It is said by the strength of Yoga Maya, because as we chant and hear and read and practice our devotional service, how much progress we made is defined by Yoga Maya. How much the Lord and the Dham and the realizations are revealed to us is based on Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya helps us to, Yoga Maya is Lord's internal energy basically. And Yoga Maya helps us to reveal the Lord and reveal the absolute truth more and more. And that Yoga Maya revealed the Lord so much to the four Kumaras that by Yoga Maya potency, they got a chance to reach Vaikuntha. We cannot reach Vaikuntha. I mean, unless we are held by Yoga Maya. Uh, mm, the four Kumaras, by the strength of Yoga Maya, the four Kumaras reached Vaikuntha, which was surrounded by airplanes, which and those airplanes were driven by the best devotees who have attained the highest bliss, and the devotees who are driving, who are sitting on these airplanes, are like completely absorbed in bliss. When the four Kumaras reached Vaikuntha, everybody there was so satisfied, so much in bliss, being completely absorbed in the Lord. So the four Kumaras saw that. Um, then the four Kumaras, there were seven gates. The four Kumaras crossed the first gate. There were two doorkeepers. Doorkeepers were just standing by. They went inside, crossed the second, crossed the third, crossed the fourth, crossed the fifth, and they reached the seventh gate. And there were doorkeepers at all the gates, and nobody said anything. But when they reached the seventh gate, they saw that the two doorkeepers were standing there, and their name was Jay and Vijay, and they all were of the same age, and they were dressed very beautifully, decorated very beautifully. They were decorated like the Lord with all the jewelries, and standing with their sticks. And when they saw the four Kumaras, their eyebrows arched, like they became like disturbed, discontented nostrils, means they made their face that their eyes became red. They appeared agitated, unhappy from their nose, and made their eyebrows like in anger. And they looked at the four boys, the four Kumaras. And these Kumaras have no idea of ours and theirs. Ours and theirs, like, we have this, like, okay, this is my house, these are my relatives, their house and their relatives, and their vehicles, and this is my vehicle. So four Kumaras had no such distinction, because for the four Kumaras, everything belongs to the Lord. So they have no idea of ours and theirs. And likewise in Vaikuntha, there is no feeling of anything belongs to me, because everybody knows that this is the Lord's abode. This abode belongs to Him, and we are just given residence in that to serve Him and to be absorbed by Him. So there is no conception. So for Kumaras, they had no idea of ours and theirs. They were liberated souls, although Brahman realized, but they were liberated, and they saw the seventh gate, and they just were just like previous doors, without asking the doorkeepers, they kept moving in. So these four children just kept passing by the doors, without asking the doorkeepers. All the four boys were naked. They looked only 5 years old, although they were one of the oldest beings in the universe, after Brahma, and they were self-realized. Um, mm, and then it says, but although as they were crossing by, and Jay and Vijay, they displayed a nature displeasing to the Lord. Bhagavat Pratikula Shilav blocked their way. So Jay and Vijay is described that they displayed a nature displeasing to the Lord. So how they acted, basically four Kumaras are also devotees in a way. So how they acted is they were showing anger at the devotees, at the four Kumaras. They were liberated souls and they were showing discontent and um, reddish eyes, unhappy. So this Jay and Vijay, this feature of Jay Vijay was Bhagavad Pratikul. It was not favorable to the Lord. It was displeasing to the Lord. And this Jay and Vijay, they blocked the way of the four Kumaras. Then the four Kumaras, they also became angry. Their eyes turned red, and the word used is Kamanujena. Anuj means younger brother, and Kama Anujena. Kama Anuj means Kama's desire. That the anger is the younger brother of lust. Krishna says, because their desire to see the Lord was thwarted. So four Kumaras wanted to see the Lord, and they were very eager, and they have meditated upon the Lord in the past. They have seen the Lord in their mind, but they were, because they were impersonalist, they were attracted to the Lord feature in the mind, but then they felt like this feature of the Lord is coming from the impersonal. But there is that bhakti angle that they have meditated on the Lord. So when they reach Vaikuntha, their assumption was they wanted to see the Lord, but still their assumption was that Brahman is higher and the Lord comes from that. But this is like equivalent to Brahman in a way, or Brahman full potency has manifested in this form. So in that way, they were very eager. They were going in, and they were so eager to see the Lord. And when they were stopped by Jay and Vijay, and they became very angry. So one thing I was contemplating on this is um, the cause for anger is unfulfilled desire. Um, but if the desire is spiritual, then the anger is considered spiritual. And when desire is material, then the anger is considered material or harmful. Like we see the example of Hanuman. Hanuman also became angry at many places, but his desire was spiritual. His desire was to see and find Mother Sita, or to save Mother Sita, or to, whenever there was any obstruction to that, Hanuman would become angry, fight with Simhika, uh, um, like Mukamara, Lankini ko. So in this way, Hanuman would become angry. But because his desire was spiritual, it is glorified. And these four Kumaras, their desire was also spiritual to see the Lord. So that desire, the anger arise from unfulfillment of that desire is considered spiritual. Like Srila Prabhupada also, like many places, Srila Prabhupada had this desire to serve the Lord. We hear many times Prabhupada was doing the yajna, and Prabhupada wanted the yajna is basically so the initiation happens and it happens properly, and the yajna is the Lord, the tongue of the Lord, and He is pleased. So when Prabhupada asked for the fruits, devotees had cut all the fruits and there were no whole fruits for the decoration. Prabhupada became angry, but the desire was not material. It was not fruit for himself or for any show off or anything like that. It was purely for the yajna to be successful and to be complete and to be like proper with proper rituals, everything. So Prabhupada became angry. So any desire which is any anger which is arising from when that desire is uh, unfulfilled, and if that desire is spiritual, is glorified. So the Jay and Vijay also became angry actually, but Jay and Vijay anger was displeasing to the Lord. It is described, um, um, but the four Kumaras' anger was not. Um, we'll do maybe two, three more verses, and I don't think we can finish it today. Then the four Kumaras, also their eyes were red because they could not see the Lord and they were stopped from seeing the Lord. So they spoke angrily. The four Kumaras, they spoke. They said, "How is it that you two, who have attained Vaikuntha planets and attained the service to the Lord as doorkeepers, have developed this kind of mentality, this angry mentality? Where is the possibility of an enemy coming here? Uh, you must be imposters and therefore suspecting others." तो बोले कि Vaikuntha, no enemy can reach Vaikuntha. Okay, now no enemy. Why can't any enemy not reach Vaikuntha? Because only those can reach Vaikuntha whom Yoga Maya brings them. Uh, Nobody else, no unwanted people have access. Even Ishopanishad says, even if you go at the speed of mind for millions of lifetimes, still you cannot reach Vaikuntha planet, even in your mind. Even if you go at any speed. By no means can anybody reach Vaikuntha unless no hard how much we try. We cannot have a realization of Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. It is only the process that the Lord revealed to us, Vaikuntha or Vrindavan, and then we realize, oh, this is how. It was revealed to Brahma, and Brahma was able to see Vrindavan, Brahma was able to see Vaikuntha. But it is not up to us. So no enemy can reach because it is reached by the path of grace. We are allowed to reach, but we cannot reach. So no enemy can go there. And naturally, everyone is rendering service there. But everyone is rendering service not because there is a need to render service. Everyone is rendering service because they want to please the Lord. And that's why there are seven doors and there are doorkeepers, but nobody is stopping anyone because everybody knows whoever comes here is qualified. By default, is qualified. No enemy can come there. So when this is the case, and obviously if we have reached here, so we are not enemies of the Lord. Actually, they were have this loving desire to see the Lord, actually, eager desire to see the Lord. Then how are you um, seeing, like, and they, I mean, they were overcome by fear and they thought four Kumaras as like unqualified, or like unqualified means basically enemy of the Lord, and that's why they should be stopped. Only devotees should enter Vaikuntha, enemies cannot enter. So you are able to see that, and no such people can reach there. So the conclusion is that you both must not be devotees of the Lord. You both must not be devotees of the Lord, and you both are imposters. Imposters means somehow or other you have that disease, or you are um, uh, imposter means like showing off, like artificial. You both are imposters, and therefore you are suspecting others, because it is said now that we see the fault in others that we have in ourselves. So same principle that they are seeing fault in four Kumaras because they have those faults, and they are not the devotees of the Lord. Because if they are devotees of the Lord, then they understand and they realize that no enemy can come, and because they are not, they are themselves enemies or imposters or pakhandi, and that's why they are seeing that and they are suspecting everybody else to be like that, and that's why they are kind of um, projecting their fault onto others, and that's how you're projecting your fault onto us. uh, um, um, Therefore we consider it appropriate. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. um, There is complete harmony in Vaikuntha between the residents on the and the Lord. Or like Prabhupada would say that how the resident of Vaikuntha and the Lord, or how the residents of Vrindavan and Krishna, there is complete harmony. Prabhupada say harmony in desire. Whatever devotees desire is what Krishna wants, and what Krishna wants becomes one with devotees' desire. And everyone is, devotees are trying to please Krishna, Krishna is trying to please the devotees, and there is complete harmony between them. But here, naturally, the Lord wants us to come. And that's why only by Lord's mercy we are able to reach here. But you don't want us to see the Lord. The Lord wants us to see Him, but you don't want us to see the Lord. So, although here in Vaikuntha there is supposed to be complete harmony, how has this duality entered in Vaikuntha? This duality of seeing that these are not qualified and these are qualified, and um, um, and also there is, and these Jay and Vijay, they develop fear. There is fear in them. There is fear means that these four Kumaras will enter, and they may harm something or harm the Lord, or maybe they will kind of create disturbance inside. So there is fear, and that's why they are stopping there. So how has this fear come upon you, this duality come upon you, and your desire and Lord desire is not same? So how has this come upon you? And how is it when no enemy can come? How are you seeing us as an enemy and stopping us? So seeing all this, we are sure that you are imposters and you are showing off, and that's why you are suspecting us as enemies, and therefore actually you are not qualified to stay here, because your qualities don't match with a normal resident of Vaikuntha. So it is our duty to protect the Lord and to protect this place. So we curse both of you to go down to the material existence, which is filled with the three enemies. Three enemies is lust, anger, and greed. And because those are the symptoms that are visible, and Vaikuntha qualities are not seen on you, you don't belong to this place. Somehow you have reached there. We'll send you to where you belong to. So we curse you to take birth in this material existence. Go, fall down, basically. Um, Go to the material world, which is full of three enemies. And Srila Prabhupada. Now, there are many subtleties, but one thing Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, this is the last statement I will make. One thing Srila Prabhupada says that the Kumara's act of angrily cursing Jay and Vijay, who were the dear devotees of the Lord, is considered Vaishnava Aparadha. So Prabhupada says the Kumaras, although their reasoning is correct, that this should not have happened. The behavior of Jai Vijay is unholy. They should not have stopped. But their act of cursing is a sign of Vaishnava. Is unknowingly, maybe they understood it in a different way. But the act of cursing, because they are present and they are devotees of the Lord, and the four Kumaras curse them, so there is a Vaishnava Aparadha. So there is actually fault of both side. Jay and Vijay also at fault, and four Kumaras also committed Vaishnava Aparadha. And later on, we will see that the four Kumaras feel ashamed, and Jay and Vijay feel ashamed. Uh, and the reason Jay and Vijay became angry is because of their earlier Vaishnava Aparadha to Lakshmi Devi. And that disturbed their mind, so they acted in this way. None of the other doorkeepers acted in this way, but because they offended Lakshmi Devi, she was unhappy with them. That immediately that disturbed their mind, and that disturbance of their mind was reflected towards Jai Vijay, towards the four Kumaras. And four Kumaras, although spiritual desire, and they did not consider any other reason. I mean, if they have considered, there may be some reason they're acting in this way, but their conclusion was they are imposters and they don't belong here, and they curse them, and that become a Vaishnava Prad for four Kumaras. Okay, so the chapter is not yet finished, but we will suspend our discussion here and see if there is any question. And discussion. Were you able to understand? Was it too technical? Was there so many reasonings?
Hare
Able to
Krishna
understand.
Prabhuji.
Tamil Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we are able to understand, Prabhuji. It's a good lecture, actually.
Okay, okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji, Krishna.
Very nice description on the Vaikuntha planets, Prabhuji. It was very nice. So the four Kumaras, they went into the Karya Vaikuntha planet, right, Prabhuji?
They
Which is
went.
in the material world.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is not specifically mentioned here actually.
Okay.
But I mean, there is a good chance that how Brahmaji says the four Kumaras can enter into the material and spiritual world. And they happened by Yoga Maya potency, they happened to enter into the Vaikuntha planets. The only Vaikuntha planet in the material world is the Dhruvlok, Pole Star, or um, yeah, the Milk Ocean. Um, but
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else?
Hare
Pranam
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Mataji, yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, I'm done with pronunciation of Prabhupada. One question I have is, you mentioned that like whenever there is a fear, so the senses, they are not controlled and we cannot trust that person. So like usually, in our day-to-day life, there is always fear related to professional, personal, different phases of life. So is it like, I know we are not able to control our senses, but even when we are chanting and doing everything, so still, uh, it's like there's no improvement happening. Or how do we take this fear? Like if it is happening because of Krishna's mercy, or not sure.
I think Prabhuji just messaged me. I received the message that Prabhuji's phone battery got off, and that's why he got disconnected. So that's why he's not responding. Prabhuji has mentioned that he will take more questions on this topic next week. That's what the message I received. So I think if it's okay, we can. I also had one question, so we can ask in the next session. Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you so
Prabhuji.
much, Prabhuji, for letting us know. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.